with the Zonzini line of machines, we are not only allowed but invited and able to do these moves that are wildly complicated, super high risk. My insurance broker thinks I'm a little bit crazy, but it allows us to do the moves because we can do it with so much control.
Yeah.
So you build those?
We're actually distributing them in the North American market.
Okay.
So what we manufacture on the MoveX side is other stair climbers, smaller, bigger one. Like this one can carry almost 1,800 pounds up and down stairs.
Okay.
And those products are made in Italy. They're complementary to our lineup. So that's perfect from residential to commercial and industry. I mean, he's one of our customers actually. He owns a couple pieces of those equipment. He moves all kind of crazy stuff with that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you know, he's a, I'll call it a super user if you want.
Yeah.
The riskiest move that I've done was the SIBO, the hologram.
Oh yeah?
At the stock exchange. Because that was $60,000 piece of equipment. And then we had this much space to their huge screen, their huge like video wall, like a whatever, $500,000 video wall. and one flick of the joystick, and that top of that thing would have just
hit the
screen, and it would have broken the screen 5 minutes before they were getting ready to do this massive production. So let's say I'm at a job site, and this is a fireplace, and I've got to get this into the box, but I'm 4 inches shy. I don't have any wood. I don't have time to go get it. You can use the attenuator, the actuator, to lean back. And so I don't have a measuring tape on me, but you can go from 30 to, well, that's probably 5 inches of lift.
Yeah.
But more importantly than being 5 inches of lift, I'm at an angle to prepare me to approach into that hole. So I've got a fireplace, I'm a little short, I didn't bring any 2x4s. I lean it back, I get as close as I can, and two guys can then scooch it into the hole versus having to
So that makes
muscle.
a really, really versatile piece of equipment here. You know, what makes you get one of those pieces of equipment the first time?
So what we're a small demolition contractor in Milwaukee.
We're just a standard contractor.
Yep, standard contractor. This was a huge financial decision for me because it's a relatively expensive machine compared to a furniture dollar.
Yeah.
I needed to protect my guys. I needed to protect our health and safety. I originally bought it for in-house use only, so we weren't for hire at first. We had it for moving refrigerators out of kitchen demolitions, moving radiators out of house demolitions and things like that. And we're an interior contractor, so we don't do.
But you were doing that all manually with your guys before?
So
and you're not getting any younger, so I guess that weighs in the balance as well.
One of the big moments that I said to myself, I'm buying it. I'm getting one of these machines because this is crazy. I want to continue to service my customers as a premium service, and I want to stop saying, oh, I can't do that. We'll do your kitchen, but we can't move your fridge. That sounds ridiculous. We moved a Sub-Zero fridge, which if you've ever moved a Sub-Zero fridge, it's one too many. They're very top heavy, and they can be anywhere from 500 to 900 pounds. And probably 50% of the weight is in the top 50% of the machine. We had 5 guys and a furniture dolly, and we had to lower it down and then pass through a doorway and then stand it back up and then wiggle through a door, etc., etc., etc. And we didn't almost die, but we almost died. And so after that, I said, absolutely no more fridges. If you need fridges moved out, you need to hire an appliance place. And what I found immediately was appliance places won't come just move stuff for you.
Unless you buy something new.
Unless you buy something new. They won't come and say, oh yeah, you want us to just move it into your room, no problem. So that's where those kind of niche services happen. So for me, one of the services that Demo Boys offers is, even if you don't use my services for the demolition, if your contractor, demolition contractor, etc., can't move certain things, we'll come in and take that slice of the pie. Come in, move the fridge, come in, move the big giant range, come in, move the whatever you've got, get it out of your way safely, put it into the desired room, throw it away, sell it, whatever.
If I get back, you know, the first reason why you got that is that, you know, you want to be able to do work and keep doing the work and offer the full service to your customers. And you know, it's a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. You know,
absolutely.
You know, did you regret not taking this decision 5 or 10 years earlier?
So yes and no. I mean, yes, I regret it. But I pulled the trigger on the purchase as soon as I could afford it.
Okay.
So that was a concept. Yes, I wish I could have had it 5 years ago.
Do you regret, you purchased that piece of equipment for the first time, to save your body, improve the health and safety of your team.
Yep.
And I mean, you end up doing a bunch of different stuff after,
Absolutely.
and finding new business opportunity because you had the equipment.
Yep.
However, looking in the past, we cannot change the past.
Yep.
However, do you think that it would have been beneficial for your team and for your business to get that piece of equipment 5 or 10 years earlier?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not even like a regret or not regret situation. It's having it earlier. If I could turn back the clock, I would have put more effort into getting more equipment to help my team. I would have done it sooner than later. Since buying the equipment, it has changed the way I think about tool purchases and employee utilization. I don't want my guys to go home unhappy, sore, angry, frustrated,
or injured.
Injured is a given. I don't want them injured, obviously, but then I want them to also be happy. And on Friday, I want people to be able to go home and be fine. So go ahead.
Did you notice? Did it help on people retention on job site and stuff like that? I mean, do you have, the fact you're providing good tool?
Yeah.
I would assume that makes people staying more long.
It does. So we're a very small company, but still it does help retention, because I think that happiness helps retention and respect of your employees helps retention, and getting your employees what they need to do their job properly makes them happy, shows them that they're seen, respected, etc. And I'd like to say that it's retention, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure at the same time, if you get a new hire tomorrow coming,
yeah.
You tell him, hey, I got this tool, that tool, that tool,
yep.
Versus your competitor that ends up, here's a shovel and a hammer.
Here's a shovel and a hammer and a piece of plywood to slide it on the stairs, etc. Yeah. It's exactly the case.
On top of being able to go up and downstairs, which is the first challenge that people will pull the trigger in getting this piece of equipment, now you can also use it as an installation device for a lot of different applications.
Absolutely. The other part about the lift that I use, not super frequently, but on occasion, is having to lift it out of the back of a van. So, for example, one of your guys goes and gets the fireplace unit, or they go and get the stone unit or whatever they're getting, and you've got to pick it out of the van. You can, the tracks will go under the bumper, and then the forks will go into the van, and you can pick up. These forks, in addition to having forks, they also have I want to say 27 inches of an extension. That's not an exact number, somewhere in there. So, again, as long as it's not 800 pounds, you can't put 800 pounds out on the way tips.
Yeah.
But 3, 4, not a problem. You can get under the tips, you can lean back, you can bring it out of the truck or bring it out of the fireplace box, get it down on the ground, re-pick, a little bit more stable, pick back up, and then move it around.
Yeah. And, just looking at a piece of equipment here, those wheels, they're actually regular standard dolly wheel, more or less, because that allows you to use the piece of equipment like a regular dolly by putting the wheel right there.
Yes.
So you can move your load around easily.
So I'll say, I keep saying limits, right? We use these wheels, obviously, for using an unloaded equipment. So if I get it off my truck and I'm trying to get it to the house, I put it on the wheels and I roll it in, no problem. If I've got a low load, that's low, let's call it comfortably 400 pounds or less, I can put it on the wheels, I can roll it back on the wheels and get that balance point, and we can roll it around. Anything above that, and there's exceptions to everything. Yeah. There's actually
you use the dolly.
There's a flatland dolly
that's Zonzini that you drive on it, and actually you push it like if you're doing your grocery on a Saturday morning.
Exactly, and it is actually that easy. We've moved a 900-pound fridge on those dollies, and it just moves around.
Oh, you mean 880, yeah?
We've done an 800-pound... Absolutely. We've done an 800-pound fridge, and I'm
just kidding, so tell me, battery. I mean, it's a question that everyone is asking. You've been working with this piece of equipment for 5 years. What do you think about a battery lifetime? How is it easy to swap the battery? What do you have to say about that?
Story time. Best way to explain the battery life is story time. We had a project 7 radiators ranging from 250 to 450 pounds, which meant 7 trips upstairs empty, and then 7 trips downstairs loaded. And we did all 7 radiators, and we still had, I believe, 27 or 28% battery. Let's pretend though I ran out of battery. The machine will stop anywhere you want it to stop on the stairs, and it's everything locks in place. So if you run out of power,
you can leave it there for a week if you need
leave it there for the week. When it's time to change out the battery, let's pretend you got to take it off to charge it, or you've got to go take it home to charge it, or whatever you're going to do. Or
you got a second battery pack in the truck that actually, you just want to be able to continue working.
Exactly. Turn it off. It's a very, very standard battery connection. It's a little heavy. I don't know what the weight is. Maybe it's 25-pound battery. Maybe, I'm not sure. There's a handle on the top. I take my hand on the bottom to guide my cable and also give a little boost. And the battery comes out. Just like that. I can take it back to the shop. I can go get my other battery, like you said. I come back with the new battery. Again,
so it's more or less like your Makita drill. You just swap the battery pack, that's it, and that's all, and you keep working.
Exactly. And again, it's not on the stairs now, but it doesn't move at all. It's immovable without the battery. So to put the battery pack back in, grab the handle, guide your wire, go into the slot, drop it in, reconnect, engage the battery, and you're back up and running.
All right, let's show us how you do that in staircase. And as you're doing it, maybe you can tell me one of the greatest job that you've done where you had to actually go on stairs and try to mimic that at the same time.
Oh yeah. So why do you have to stop? Hopefully you planned your project well enough that your batteries are charged and you don't have to stop in the middle. But so let's pretend another reason I have to stop on stairs. You come up on the stairs, you're going, and either you or the guy that's guiding you didn't tell you that the door is not here, but the door is over here. So, or the door is too narrow. So you have to take the door hinges off, you have to take the whatever, you have to do some sort of modification.
What do you do? And I mean, right now, you're not touching it at all. How stable it is?
Just show us how stable it is. So that's reckless wiggling, right? But that's not going to happen unless somebody jumps on it. So I would feel comfortable. Obviously, I wouldn't want to leave it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks unattended, but it's not going to go anywhere
And right now, your load is not all the way down, and you're actually a little up, which makes it actually more unstable than if your load would be completely down.
I have a little bit of lift on there, so which gives it a little bit more wiggle. So at this point, now I can stop. I can assess. Or what if I just have to go to the bathroom? I'm nervous. That happens sometimes. If the load is very valuable, or I'm getting close to a wall, or I simply need to collect myself and figure out what I'm going to do, I can stop at any point on any staircase, and there you have it.
Talking about safety, that's a big feature, because I'm sure when you were moving stuff before, you're in the middle of staircase, door height is not good or something like that, you're sweating like hell, you don't know what to do with your load, and you put your health and safety and your people's health and safety at risk at the same time.
Previous to this, we used a standard hand dolly, and at all times, hold on, let me check something. Okay, just making sure. Previous to this, we used a standard hand dolly, which is fine for really small, really light stuff, but you're always engaged. You can never rest. Even if you're balancing, you can't ever fully let go. And for example, if you needed to change operators for whatever reason, let's say
your phone is ringing.
My phone is ringing. Well, chuck your phone. But your phone is ringing or what have you. Again, having to go to the bathroom mid-lift is a thing. It's like, oh man, I'm a little nervous, I have to go to the bathroom. Or one operator is actually too nervous and gets themselves stuck. Let's say you're training a new operator.
Yeah.
We have two guys that also operate the machine on certain things, and your comfort level with the machine grows as you use it more. But let's say you're testing a guy, and he gets in a position where he's like, I was wrong. Or that guy gets into a position where he gets himself stuck, and you need to change up. Or you have a teaching moment. He gets stuck and I need to talk him through it because he needs to learn, or I need to learn, or somebody needs to learn. You can stop, explain what you're trying to do, explain the controls, etc. You do whatever you want. The point is, all this time this has been sitting here and stable.
Wow,
no physical effort, everybody's safe, and we're good to go.
No, that's great. And you just told me about those wheel dolly that you've used and all that. I mean, and that's a question we got very often. You know, customer comes to us and say, okay, I use those wheel dolly that go step by step, you know,
Yes.
to help you going upstairs. And they say, hey, you know, some of those, like they're 1,000-pound or 1,500-pound capacity.
Yep.
And I mean, you've used those before, I'm sure.
I have used those before.
Okay, and I mean, for sure on our side, we limit the capacity here at 880 pounds. But what would you have to say the difference between both? Can you really do 1,500 pound with one guy? Or
you can't. Okay, the absolute yes or no, sure, maybe. A big giant guy who's done it 100 million times. Okay, but really,
what is the reality?
Exactly, the reality of someone moving that much weight by themselves is nearly zero. It's nearly zero, and again, it comes back to when that's happening, you have constant body stress. You're constantly micro leveling.
And I mean, you cannot leave it in a staircase like that.
You can't leave it on a staircase like that. The other big problem with those single lifts is 100% of that weight goes onto one step at a time. If you look down here real quick, I'm at this point, I'm on three steps.
Yeah.
And then my body, I'm on a platform here, but I would be probably 3 more or 4 more steps above that.
Yeah.
So my body weight's way up here. I'm on 3 steps, and then as I move up, I'm always on at least 2.
Yeah.
So I'm in between this step, I'm in between that step and the top step at this point, but I'm still on 2 treads.
Yeah, you're always on 2 treads at a time.
Yep.
So that makes it even safer and more stable than anything else out there.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, yeah. So let's just show us how you do that when you get on top of the stairs, because I guess that's kind of a little tricky portion for you as well, or it's not?
It is a tricky up. Contrary to what you might think, up is easier than down. Because when you come up to the top of the stair, you have the consistent pull of gravity pulling you back.
Yeah.
And so you can count on that. When you're going downstairs, it's still stable, it's still safe, but you're fighting against gravity because it's trying to pull you down in the direction you're going. But either way, because the machine is, again, hands off right in this moment, because the machine is stable, locks every time it goes, rubber treads, independently operating motors, extra slow, you can...
So what is the technique? How do you do that? You know, to do it in a safe way, you just tell us.
So the machine has automatic leveling. I don't know, again, I'm not a robotics guy. I know that it has a brain. And it can tell when once it's been calibrated, it can tell where it wants to be based on the weight that you load it on.
Okay.
And then if the machine is outside of the parameter where it wants to be to balance, it will self-level. Okay. So as I get to the top of the stair, I come up here, I pull back on the machine just a little bit, and it starts to, wait. As I get back here, I pull back on the machine. So
the track is not touching anymore, so it gets really, really light. We got like 300-400 pounds on it right now, but you know, you can move that almost with no strength.
And then there's a tipping point, obviously, for balance. And then I'm just pulling back on the handle a little bit, and the the computer, brain, whatever you want to call it, is keeping it at its same level. And then once it's there, you can roll right onto your next surface. It works the same way going up on, I shouldn't say the same way. It self-levels going onto a platform, off of a platform, and then down onto a lower platform.
And right now, I mean, this plateau is not really big. Do you think you can do a 90-degree turn on it?
Absolutely.
I mean, you probably need to move out a little bit, but...
No worries. So this is a simulated landing of a staircase. I've got to go up the next set of stairs. We come this way, and because the motors, the tracks are on completely independent motors, they're getting different signals.
So it's zero turn, more or less like you're on mower or any zero turn type piece of equipment. One track going forward, the other track going reverse.
Exactly. Now in this scenario, I could then continue up the next staircase. The other benefit of having two independent motors, obviously if I have a slight turn to a staircase, I can't go up a tight spiral staircase,
Yeah.
but I can go up a curved staircase.
But I guess the limitation is not that much the equipment and the load you have on the equipment, I guess, in most cases, right?
Exactly. It's usually the tightness. I mean, I also can't fly it. It doesn't fly either. You know what I mean? It's everything's got its purpose and its limitations.
Yeah. So show us now, you're going back downstairs.
So going back down, there's a stop indicator here. This is not.
This is when you go up, I think.
It's up or down. It's a common, depending on what your load is, how far forward your load is, or how far back, how tall, etc.
Every load is different, so I guess every time it's a different. So you really got to feel the equipment and know when you're getting to that tipping point.
Exactly. This gives you a general indicator of when you should start thinking about tipping forward, tipping backwards. If you just run off the ledge and then expect it to slam down and catch the stairs, it's not going to do it because it's slow.
Yeah.
And it's calculated. And so this indicator gives you just a visual. So somewhere between here and here,
or I guess it could be here as well if you would have a load that actually has got more weight toward the front.
Towards the front or high, etc.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
When we tip this, we're going to probably, I'm guessing, we're going to be somewhere in here. So
let's see if your guess is good now.
All right.
And what do? You just move a little bit forward and then you push a little bit to feel it, right?
So there's feel. This, I've said in a previous interview, previous article, this is not a magic, this is not magic, okay? There's feel that has to happen. As you go forward, as you get close to that edge, and you're going slow, the machine is gonna talk to you a little bit because it's going to start to push over just a hair. That's why when you're approaching the edge of something, you've gotta move slowly and pay attention. As soon as you feel that little tiniest balance shift, that point you stop, then you can push forward, the machine will take over from there.
Okay, let's.
So here, I'm all the way on the ground, so I couldn't push this forward if I wanted to. I couldn't, I could if I wanted to, but it's not gonna go anywhere. So as you approach the edge, you can give it a little, so here, I can tip it. So if you then actually tip, the machine will start to do what it's going to do.
And you're still pretty stable on the top.
I'm pretty stable on the top. So another big thing to consider with any move is if you're moving something heavy, you've got to have a strong enough staircase.
Yeah.
You know, this doesn't rebuild staircases for you.
No, you're right on that. You got to make sure whatever load you carry, that the staircase is going to be able to resist on it.
Exactly. Yeah. We get a question all the time. Oh, can it really do 800 pounds? Like, well, yeah. And then the question is like, well, what about the staircase? Well, the staircase has to be appropriate. And we do most of our work is residential. And so we do a lot of stuff on wooden staircases, a lot of stuff on carpeted staircase, and occasionally we'll block that nosing. We'll put a block that supports.
Yeah, just right here, just to support the bull nose.
Exactly. So we'll support the bull nose, and then once we're on the stair, 2 bull nose at a time, we shoot on down.
Yeah.
So now the machine.
You're already on 2 steps.
Exactly. So now once I'm over there, I'm on 2 steps. Gravity's doing its thing. The machine has recalibrated to where it wants to be, and if the staircase is straight and everything's perfect, it won't have to recalibrate again until it gets to the bottom. If there's inconsistencies in the stair build, the machine, as we go over those, it will adjust. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we see it a little bit here. You know, the stairs were not exactly in the same angle, and the machine just adjusts itself between the second and the third steps.
Exactly. So now it's readjusted, and it's going to stay at that angle until I get onto the floor. And as soon as it goes onto the floor, so there.
Now you start to just touch the floor right now. Yeah, and we see, you know, it's just collapsing.
Yep,
so
exactly.
You're a guy that looks in pretty good shape and all that, but I mean, something like that worked by itself, you could probably put a 17 years old, really skinny guy and do a lot of work with it anyway, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It equalizes. It equalizes who can do it. It equalizes how much can be done. It prioritizes, you need a smart employee, and not necessarily super smart, but for example, you don't have to have all of the heavy loads go to Jim, because Jim goes to the gym. You know what I mean? He's not unfairly targeted for all the heavy stuff, if that makes sense.
And between you and I mean, younger generation, my son is 19 years old, and he played American football. You know, they're supposed to be the toughest guy in school.
Right.
And you take those guys, the reality is that today, don't ask them to take a shovel or take, you know, a chainsaw on a weekend. These guys likes to play video games.
Yeah.
So they don't want to work hard that much.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I guess a piece of equipment like that is pretty good also for the onboarding of the new employees.
Absolutely. And then there's another part to the guys who do want to lift things, they do want to challenge themselves. I'm regularly saying to that guy.
Were you one of those guys?
I was one of those guys. I've had guys like that. And you have to then say, go to the gym and get your exercise. Here at work, we use all the tools. And the other interesting part, there's one of the final takeaway. The mental switch that happened when we bought the machine and then a sequential machine is remembering that you had it. That's a very short-lived thing, right?
Yeah.
So you're so ingrained and you're so used to, oh, we'll just lift it. Oh, just get another guy in the other corner, we'll just lift it. Or we'll just carry it. And what happens is things that you didn't buy the machine to move, you will start moving with the machine. Because, I just moved that so easily before. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was only 200 pounds going down the stairs. It was only 300 pounds going down the stairs. And now we don't carry anything. I would say 100 pounds is all I like to have my guys carry.
But you know, when you look at the large company and corporation and all that, and even, you know, the delivery company, very often the target is 70 pounds, and some of them are bringing it up to 50 pounds that you cannot bring up and downstairs. And I mean, those are big corporations. Health and safety take a lot of space. However, today's reality, when you're an entrepreneur and all that, all those time that you will have pick up that 100 pound, 150 pound, you know, you're wearing out your body quicker than you should.
Absolutely.
And I mean, there's going to be a payback time at one point.
Absolutely, eventually. and hopefully, it's one of those things where if you don't wear out your body, then you've done it right. It's the badge of honor of, oh, I'm nearly crippled because I used to carry stuff up the stairs all the time. It's
those days are gone. I think
they're gone. They're fleeting for sure. The macho. It's like, well, I'd rather run around and chase my kids rather than have 10 Advil a day type of thing.
Yeah. So, no. Cool. So, you know, in conclusion, you know, this was a great addition to your tool and equipment, and you know, if you want to have something to tell to the other entrepreneur, other contractor out there that are like you or were like you before, I should say, what would you tell them?
Buy the tool. Buy the Zonzini. That's great, right? Take care of your employees.
Well, you say Zonzini, but it could be any tool.
Take care of your employees to make their lives easier. The easier their lives are, the more they're going to be happy with you. And buy the Zonzini. Buy the extra suction cup that you needed. Buy the extra fancy safety goggles that one of the guys saw in some show. Take care of your guys, and then get a Zonzini.
Yeah, and I mean, as I like to say on the Movex side, you know, why we're there is that we like to make the people's life in the field easier.
Yeah.
At the same time, we make their organization more efficient.
Yes.
So it's just, yes, it's a little bit of an investment at the beginning, but in today's reality, there's many different ways to find a way to get the money, to get something that will end up having a payback. And when you look at it, money-wise on your side, I mean, that was not an expense. It was probably an extra revenue source.
It ended up very much so being an extra revenue source. And I can give you a really quick story on the progression from expense to revenue source. We bought it for internal use. Once we got proficient at it, then we started offering to move more things. Then we realized how many things are really hard to move. Okay, so even we do some service for even moving companies, because even moving companies should all have one of these.
So you're telling me that a demo guys doing services for a moving company, that's the world actually upside down a little bit.
Exactly. So we do very small sliver of their work. However, there's a ceiling that they hit where they don't have the training, their things are too expensive or too heavy, or the combination of the two.
And they don't have the tool.
And they don't have the tool, and they don't want to take on the responsibility or the liability, and they don't have the tool, the training, the ability, and so we take over at that point. So it went from just moving busted up concrete only just to get it out of a basement without having to lug it, to then the beauty of using a machine to move, let's use concrete for an example. We don't have to carry concrete out of a residential basement across the finished floor that has no construction and worry about it falling.
Yeah.
So you get that benefit. But then the third tier is when you start then taking jobs that you wouldn't have taken before. And that becomes a very nice revenue stream. Then the fourth tier, if there was one, is as you get better and better and better at using the machine, because I must.
But I guess you can also sometimes use the machine to bring better tool to do the work in area
Yes.
that normally those other tool would have been too big or too hard to move on a job site, that now you bring it on a job
Absolutely.
site.
That brings me to mind is floor grinders. So if anyone's in the floor grinding who's watching this, you've got all your different weights of grinders. You've got your 200 pound, your 300 pound, your 400 pound. We were at World of Concrete recently, and this guy had a 4,000 pound grinder that was the size of a bus. It was gigantic. That's outside of the range. However, if you had to do a basement, and the only thing that you can physically get down is your 250 pound grinder,
And you still probably
it takes a long time. Your time doubles. However, if you can fit your 400 pound grinder with a Zonzini, it cuts your grinding time significantly. And quite honestly, you don't want to take your 250 pound grinder down manually anyways. So not only will it allow you to do your 250 pound grinder, but you can also now get your 450 pound grinder into basements, cutting your grinding time.
So you can more or less attack the job or quote on a job with a different approach.
Yes.
Knowing that you'll have a better tool, you'll be more efficient,
Yes.
you'll get more work done in less time, so you can have more job done at the same time. So
Exactly.
you just completely change the circle there in a different direction. So that's not anymore an expense, it's a revenue source.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that I'm not credible, I work for the company,
Right.
but I mean, on your side, you're using this, and it's always a pleasure for me to get the opportunity to talk with real customer, the people that use our product, and that benefit from it. So
Absolutely.
thank you very much, Jonathan.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for
Hey.
having us.
Thank you.